Good morning, everybody. My name is Not That Man of Matt, and welcome to my channel. Um, if you haven't already subscribed, again, the subscribe button should be somewhere. Go there, make sure you hit the like button, all that good stuff. Good morning. It is almost 9 o'clock my time, and I'm excited. I know I'm liking these early morning streams because it gives me an excuse to show off my coffee, teacups, mugs. And this is my newest one. The Disney Parks Alphabet Series Orange Bird. O is for Orange Bird. So I'm actually liking these mugs. I'm kicking myself because there was a M is for Matterhorn Disneyland one that they were selling Shop Disney for a while, and I didn't get it. And I'm kind of kicking myself, and I probably need to check eBay to see if there's probably one on there, but it's probably not $15.90 or $15. But again, Orange Bird, can't go wrong with Orange Bird. It's part of my collection. So, by the way, the beverage I'm drinking is I forget what they call it, a Beach Bellini tea mixture from Tivana. Yeah, Beach Bellini. This is right on the little thing right there. And actually, it's my first time having it, and I'm not a tea person, but it's actually very good. Don't need any like sweeteners or anything. Very tasty. It's a little on the price side because it's Tivana and Starbucks, but overall it's pretty good. I don't like just plain old tea. I like there to be like a fruity flavor. So why am I on this morning? Well, as I'm noticing one of the you can see the life in the back. I'm so not used to streaming this late in the day or this early in the day. That light is coming in pretty strong from that one. Okay. Anyway, so this is kind of like a little test. I know I've streamed one other Saturday morning before it recently, but I'm excited. Welcome. So bear with me as I'm trying to figure out all the different things with this. Now, I should say some of these Disney mugs, it's actually a little bit more ergonomical. If you can see, there's a groove right here. It's a little bit more flatter than like a traditional mug, so it's more comfortable to hold. I got this from Shop Disney. They sent me one with a nick in it, which I'm like, you know what? Orange Bird outweighs everything. I'm getting for this. I can deal with that. So, yeah, good morning, everybody. A few things that I kind of want to talk about because we've had a lot of news coming from Disney as of this week. They're testing the arms and the center barge for Harmonious in Epcot, which is awesome. That should be a great show. Also in Epcot, they installed flagpoles. This is really quick. They installed 12 flagpoles to hoist 6 flags on each side. And those 6 different flags have the 6 original icons for Disney rides. I believe there's, I did see the land, I did see the Living Seas, World of Motion, I think Horizons is one of them. I think they're the original Spaceship Earth, but it's the pavilion icons, not like the concept art where these flagpoles were attached to the buildings in the perimeter. They're actually in the planners, which I think is a better option. And they're not the traditional Epcot logo, which again, if you kind of look at the concept art, thankfully it was only a concept art, and honestly, concept art, and the actual plans do differ. It's here's what we vision it. Yeah, I'm not liking this, and they actually move the flags into like taller flagpoles in the planners, which is awesome. I think they look great. Epcot's front door, Spaceship Earth, is really getting a lot of tender loving care right now. If you were, for me, my first visit to Epcot was in 1999, and Leave a Legacy was all I remember of that opening, of the opening act, as Disney would probably say, that entry. Um, it looked cool to have your face on these stone monoliths. Um, and anywhere else, I think if this was like a public park, it would definitely work. I know the original designer of the entry plaza was a consultant for that project back in the 90s. And he tried to make it so that the monoliths framed Spaceship Earth, which it did a good job, but it was more utilitarian. And the fact that they painted some of the painted on monoliths on the legs of Spaceship Earth. I don't know. Overall, it was a good concept for the Millennium, but nothing beats kind of like the floral entrance, that type of entrance there, um, that they have now. Um, it just makes more sense, and it flows a little bit better. And you're not playing hide and go seek with like family members that decide, oh, I want to just take a look down this way, or you can. It makes the area feel a lot more open and more inviting. One thing they also debuted on the first day of the Flower Garden Festival, which is personally my favorite festival that I've attended. I've only attended, well, technically I've done 3 Epcot festivals, but way back in 2004, the holidays around the world wasn't technically called a festival. So technically it's not a festival, but I've been there for the holidays. I love Flower and Garden, specifically because I like flowers. I like springtime. I like looking at all the topiaries and how they plant the flowers around the lagoons, that are near the Imagination Pavilion and the Odyssey Center, or the Epcot Experience now, that kind of separate Future World with the World Showcase. That is my favorite thing, and they put like little floating planters there. I love flowers. I love the flower garden. Sometimes the food options, from what I understand, I've only done one flower garden, to be honest with you. But and sometimes again, the food options people may or may not be crazy about, but overall, I think it's one of my favorite to kind of look at all the different topiaries around Epcot. I love nature. Although topiaries are not really natural, they're man-made. But I love plants. So this is my favorite time of year in terms of Epcot festivals. Don't get me wrong, Food and Wine was fun, but you're specifically going there for the food and the wine. You have a couple extra like dining stuff, and of course you had the stuff at the American Garden Theater this year. But I know Flower and Garden, there's a little bit more to it. But yeah, so what they premiered with the Flower and Garden Festival is the new lighting package, not for Spaceship Earth itself, but surrounding Spaceship Earth. The buildings, you know how there was that white strip of lights? Now it's multicolor, and it's timed to the fountain. So whatever the fountain colors are, the lights kind of react. So the area is more interactive. So the fountain and the lighting, the surrounding light, they interact with each other, which is, I think, it's cool, and it's a good way to end your night. If you're staying like the Beach Club or Yacht Club or Boardwalk or Swan and Dolphin or Skyline Resort, you kind of miss Epcot's front door. And I would definitely make a trip to the front of the park just to kind of see this, maybe right before park closing. Kind of take it in, maybe do Spaceship Earth at the end of the night, because usually the lines are shortest at the end of the night anyway. Just make that your end of the night thing. Don't waste a fast pass on it if you don't have to. When they bring fast passes back, I should say. But it looks really cool. And there's the entry plaza in front of Spaceship Earth has a new music package. From what I understand, it's not an original composition. And one of the titles apparently is called one of the songs. Then there's called apparently from what I'm gathering online. It's called Beyond the Horizon, Two Steps from Hell. That is one of the songs playing in the entry plaza for Epcot. Hello, Melanie. How are you? Good morning. I think that's very unfortunate. I've listened to snippets of each of the songs. They all sound they all sound great. Hello, Roxy. They really do sound great. It's hard not to talk about Epcot in a bad light right now because of all the construction that's going on, and it's an identity crisis. But it's slowly but surely finding its identity, and it starts with that entrance. So I am excited. I really am excited that things are starting to turn for Epcot. Once Guardians of the Galaxy opens, which again, that looks to be like a great ride. I've ridden Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout at Disneyland, which we'll talk about in a second. Their Tower of Terror redo, basically. And it's a fun ride. Don't get me wrong, Tower of Terror, one of my favorite rides because it's suspense, it's scary. And a lot of the thrill comes from the nerves. It's long, drawn out ride to the top. You're going pushing through that fifth dimension, and then you drop, and that's really where you're having the fun and kind of like that tension's released. Whereas Mission Breakout, because of the ride system's a little bit different, you're loaded in, you're backed into the shaft, the elevator shaft, and you're immediately jet propelled to like the top, and you start going up and down, up and down. Not to kind of spoil anything or anything, but it's still a drop ride, but it's a different type of drop ride. It is different than Tower of Terror. It's something that they can't do, I don't really think, with Florida's Tower of Terror, just because it's a different ride system than the others. So from what I gather, looking at the Epcot experience, I think Cosmic Rewind at the Universe of Energy replacement, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, I think that's going to serve as the Disney World equivalent of that ride. Disney seems to like to make cookie cutter rides. And just the vibe that I'm getting from that, it's going to be a little bit different because, of course, it's going to be a roller coaster. It's going to be a control roller coaster. But the vibe from that little snippet in the Epcot experience gives me the same vibes as Mission Breakout. So it wouldn't surprise me if the plots were similar. It really wouldn't surprise me. But of course, you're going to be launched backwards, which that should be fun. I like riding roller coasters backwards to begin with. It's fun whenever they do it for like, there's one roller coaster near me in Six Flags Great America called the American Eagle. And for Halloween's, they used to run the blue side backwards. And then eventually they just carried it year round. And then because of track issues, they switched it back, and it's a whole nother story with that. And I also did Batman backwards for a while, Batman roller coaster at Six Flags Great America, which it's definitely very, very interesting and more intense because you can't see where you're going. So I'm excited for that. Again, we still don't really have too many details about the play pavilion and when it's going to open, but it's definitely, again, targeted for little kids. On that side, when you think of the other things that are going to be around, you have Test Track, Thrill Ride, height requirement. Of course, you have Mission Space, Thrill Ride, height requirement. Guardians of the Galaxy, Thrill Ride, roller coaster, height requirement. So to have something for kids and utilizing the Wonders of Life Pavilion, am I thrilled that's going to be basically Pixar, Disney characters exclusively? No, not really, but it brings something so that kids have something to do. Because no matter what, even before this Epcot transformation, when they're adding Frozen, they added Donald Duck and Nemo, you still had a lot of kids coming to the park and ending up disappointed. So it's gonna add something. It's gonna add capacity to the park, and that's something that Epcot desperately needs. Of course, you have Ratatouille opening later on this year, mystery date there on when that's actually going to open. But that's going to add capacity to the park as well. And then the Journey of Water outdoor attraction, which sadly Innovations West, it's just metal bars right now, and they're taking that down, which is sad. I remember going to Club Cool on that side, and the Fountain View Bakery, which the Starbucks, and getting breakfast there. And kind of us walking through those Innovation exhibits. I'm gonna miss it. I really, and the character spot. That's where the characters were. Mickey, Minnie, Donald, or not? Was it Donald? No, it's Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, Pluto. Were they the ones at the character spot? I did it. I went through the whole line. I know it's Mickey, Minnie, and Goofy. What was it? Was it? I forget what the fourth character was now. I have the picture too. Oh shoot. We've gone through that line twice. Although it is Epcot, let's just say. I'll just leave it at that. So, but that was honestly waiting in line. That's probably the easiest way to get your picture with characters. It was much, much easier, I'd say, at Epcot to take a picture with Mickey and Minnie than it was at the Magic Kingdom. Magic Kingdom, even though they had the special outfits, which again, they're going back to special outfits in a second. And I'm wondering if Mickey and Minnie will be back in the Town Square Theater together for the 50th anniversary, which that honestly, I don't know why they did, why they ever separated Mickey and Minnie after Mickey's 90th birthday celebration. Minnie went back to Storybook Circus, and Mickey stayed in the Town Square Theater. They should be together. Like that whole interaction, you got a picture with Mickey and Minnie. So my guess is that if that meet and greet does come back, they're going to be back together. Here's to hoping that meet and greet does actually come back, because meet and greets, again, were part of the capacity of Magic Kingdom. I digress here. Back to Epcot. There's so much going on, and hopefully some of the Spaceship Earth refurb, hopefully they incorporate some of the stuff. Maybe it's not a total refurbishment like they're going through, but actually just reviving some of the things that actually do need that to be freshened up. Maybe a new soundtrack, a new narration. I mean, that's not hard to replace, I don't think. Hopefully there's more rides in the World Showcase. I know if that's going to happen, it's going to be more IP. But again, there needs to be more capacity in Epcot, ride capacity, because that's what Epcot's severely, severely lacking. And they have the space. They have the space. All right, now on to the West Coast. And the news that Universal Studios Hollywood and the Disneyland Resort can open their theme parks with 15% capacity on April 1st. So the beginning of next month. And this is the part where I'm showing off, which that's super, super, super exciting. Now, hold your horses. You must live in Southern California, or just in California in general, to visit the theme parks. Wah, wah, I know. But hold on, my throat's a little bit dry here. But it's exciting that they're finally opening up. So it wouldn't surprise me within the next couple of weeks or so, maybe a little bit further down the line than that, that they announce what those membership offerings would be for California residents. Would I want to go back to Disneyland? Of course. I think it's Walt's original park. It's Walt's only park that he had 100% direct input on when it opened. Of course, there's a lot of changes after he passed away, but it's his original park. And there are things that Disneyland does better than Disney World, and well, of course, vice versa. But there's a lot of things that you can only do at Disneyland rather than Disney World, like the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. Honestly, it's better at Disneyland, hands down. You have the Blue Bayou, you have Cafe Orleans, two of the three major restaurants around the rivers of America. There's plenty of major restaurants around there, but Cafe Orleans serves a Monte Cristo sandwich all day for lunch and dinner. Whereas if you're thinking you're going to the Blue Bayou restaurant, you're thinking, oh, I'm going to get the Monte Cristo. I believe it's only available there at lunchtime, not for dinner. Actually, it's not available there for dinner because I ate there back in 2019, the end of 2019. There is no Monte Cristo sandwich there, which Disneyland's Monte Cristo sandwiches are the best. Although, and then beignets. Beignets right now, actually, that's a lie. Mickey beignets are only sold inside Disneyland Park. They are not sold inside any singular park in Disney World. Not in Magic Kingdom, not in Epcot, not in Hollywood Studios or Animal Kingdom. The only place that you could find Mickey beignets on property is at the Port Orleans Resort, which is one of the few resorts right now that isn't open yet and hasn't got an opening date. Which I'll hold that thought because there's part of me is still wondering why that resort hasn't opened up yet. But there's another part of me that might know why. But I'm excited that Disneyland could be opening. Disneyland officials have announced that they're going to be teasing the actual official opening date. I'm sure they're not really they're not ready to open on April 1st, but I think they'll open soon after that. And you're going to see lights turn on in the Magic Kingdom of Disneyland. Of course, California Adventure they've been already turning on the lights, sprucing up the place a little bit more with their Taste of Disney event that's going to be going on for a limited time. And it wouldn't surprise me if that event turned into a limited ticket event in like the evenings, and then they add rides to that event, and then kind of phase out the Taste of Disney event, and then bam, the park's regular open, turn into a festival. It wouldn't surprise me if they do that. But I'm sure that you're going to see a lot more activity testing, the Incredicoaster, Guardians of the Galaxy, all those rides in California Adventure and Disneyland. And just, I'm excited. I'm bummed that it's only California residents that are eligible to go, but that might not be a bad thing. I think Disney is going to be like, well, we want visitors from around the world to be able to enjoy it, or across the country, or even like in the region. Because it's not going to come for people to drive from maybe Utah or Las Vegas or Oregon or Arizona. Like it's probably maybe like a half a day drive, up to a day drive for these people to kind of visit for the weekend. So I think if you're Disney, you're bummed that the Disneyland Hotel, Grand Californian, and Paradise Pier hotels probably won't be utilized. All those hotels around Disneyland probably are still going to be hurting because of the restriction of California visitors. Maybe if you're from, I know I had to, like, this is my time to talk Disneyland. I'm in control, Aaron. Welcome, by the way. I'm in control. We're talking about Disneyland reopening, though. You should be. It's finally happening. It's going to happen, most likely next month. But it's not going to be smooth sailing for at least the businesses around because there's a lot of hotels. And maybe if you're visiting from like San Francisco, maybe Northern California, those hotels might be used a little bit. And of course, you have the Grand California has the DVC. So if anything that opens up, it's going to be Grand California. And so that DVC members can finally use their points again at the Grand California. But to step inside the parks, maybe the way that they get around with that is having more of these limited ticket events where they don't operate the attractions. I don't know, but it's sad. Like I know I have relatives in Southern California that are going to be eligible to get tickets. But I don't know how that's going to work, how they're going to verify that everybody entering the park is from California or lives in California. Is it going to be that whoever's purchasing the tickets has to have a California address, or do you have to provide the address of everybody? That's something that I don't know yet. I know with sports teams around here, especially in Milwaukee, whenever I'm wearing my Cubs shirt, by the way, this morning, whenever the Cubs play in Milwaukee or they play anywhere else within driving distance, like a half a day drive or a day's drive of Chicago, because really it's about 5 hours to St. Louis. So a day trip or a weekend trip to St. Louis is not out of the question. Pittsburgh is probably the farthest. But Cincinnati, yeah, maybe you do half a day, make it a day trip or stay in a hotel overnight, drive back in the morning. You can do that as well. I'm stalling here because of really the only one that's within an hour and a half is Milwaukee. Milwaukee's an hour and a half from Chicago. So literally I can go to Milwaukee right now if I really wanted to, do a shopping trip or walk around, visit a museum, drive back, no problem. It's not that much of an issue there's Amtrak trains and we're two connected economies. Like one relies on the other, one feeds off of the other, really. But again, digressing here, what they try to do is Cubs fans will swarm Miller Park. The fact that to the point where you see a lot of Cubby blue and the Cubs jerseys, shirts, and all that stuff, more so than Milwaukee. It's probably sometimes even 2-1 into Milwaukee or 2-1 of Cubs fans versus Milwaukee fans there. Again, digressing here, but what they'll do is to try to curb the amount of Cubs fans in Miller Park at Milwaukee's home park, is they try to do Milwaukee only tickets. They'll give discounts to people with Wisconsin addresses. They'll do first come first serve for Milwaukee and Wisconsin residents. But push comes to shove, some of those Wisconsin residents are just opportunists, and they put those back on StubHub. There's always more Cubs fans, or almost always more Cubs fans than Milwaukee fans at Miller Park whenever the Cubs travel, take the bus ride up to Milwaukee. They don't fly. Who would fly? It's again hour and a half. Get through security, board the plane, pick up your bags. That in itself is probably at least 2 hours. So it's quicker to just drive to Milwaukee. Cheaper, definitely cheaper too. So if it's whoever's purchasing the tickets, you're going to get people calling up their cousins and aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, children that live in California. Going, can you get me Disneyland tickets? Can you get me in? But if it's everyone has to provide an address or show an ID, if there's show an ID or proof of residency, then it's going to be, I guess you can weed out people traveling half across the country to visit Disneyland again. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how that works. But if I were Disney again, from the hotel standpoint, those hospitality workers for Disney owned hotels and they're good neighbor hotels. Things are going to still be hurting because of that travel issue. They might open up the hotels and just kind of say, oh, we'll run shuttles to Los Angeles, or maybe we'll take you on a tour. Oh, no, they're probably not going to do that. And just kind of highlight other things that you can do besides the theme parks. Definitely the third party, good neighbor hotels. I don't know about the Disney owned and operated hotels, though. They're definitely going to have to cater to local people. That's for sure, and offer local discounts. Say, hey, make it a staycation. But the fact that the Disneyland, like these hotels have been closed for a year and possibly even beyond a year, it's still going to hurt the Anaheim economy. It obviously is going to help the Anaheim economy for opening up the theme parks in general, but the hotel industry it's still not a remedy for it. Which is sad. And I think as we get closer, as more and more people get vaccinated, and we get closer to that herd immunity through vaccinations, things will look brighter for the hospitality industry. It's more of a long-term game, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel, thankfully. And I think we're finally, we've always known that the light's there, but I think for a lot of people, we're now seeing that light. But yeah, I'm excited. And then, of course, Avengers Campus. That means Avengers Campus is actually realistically closer opening too, which that should be a good thing. And finally bring a Marvel or like actual Marvel theme. Like, even though they still cannot use the Marvel name. It's something that Disney really wants to in a U.S. park is Spider-Man and the Avengers, and they're going to get that to a greater extent now than just Guardians. Yeah, so that's my 2 cents on that. Back to the East Coast now. With the East Coast, I mentioned earlier that right now the only place that you can get Mickey beignets on property is the Port Orleans Resort. And they actually have regular beignets, and then the only place on Disney property you can get, or on any U.S. Disney property, you can get boozy beignets. They actually fill them with, they have a liqueur filling with I think it's rum or something, that they serve them at the Port Orleans Resort. And that obviously you cannot get at Disneyland, because Disneyland, the only place where you can get alcohol is Galaxy's Edge. Right now it's Galaxy's Edge and Olga's Cantina. But you cannot bring the drinks outside. You gotta be sitting down in the restaurant. Can't stand up with the drink. It's very, 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 they're very strict. and they were gonna, I believe the rumor was that shortly after the park closing date, like sometime that they were going to transition to the restaurants serving alcohol as well, the sit down restaurants serving alcohol. So you can get a true mint julep for the first time ever at Blue Bayou um, or whatever. I know I said transition to East Coast. I'm still talking about the West Coast. But so they were going to go to restaurants serving alcohol, but that wasn't, they didn't say anything because parks closed down. But yeah, there's Port Orleans is the only place where you can get Mickey beignets at the Disney World on Disney World property as of right now. But again, as of right now, though, Port Orleans is closed. For the Flower and Garden Festival at the is it the Fleur de Lis, the France festival booth? What's it's called, the France festival booth? They do have beignets there. They're not Mickey beignets, but they do have beignets. So that right now is the only place inside of any Disney property right now you can actually get the beignets. Get any beignets, I should say. I would, excluding probably Disney Springs. So it's the only place inside a Disney park as of this moment you can get a beignet. Of course, they're a little bit more fun when they're Mickey shaped, but whatever. My theory is that when Tiana and the Princess and the Frog redo comes to Splash Mountain, beignets will finally be sold in the Magic Kingdom, and they'll be sold in Frontierland. Now it's really interesting because it's basically where they sell it in Disneyland. It's like a little mini food court. It's a little small, like Joffrey's style stand. It's not like a big bakery or anything. It's a little stand where you go up, get the beignets, and go, like a little one. So I'm thinking, where in Frontierland could they sell the beignets? The only place that I really can think of, you have Pecos Bills. And you would really like, and that's more of like a Southwestern place. That might become Tiana's restaurant. You never know. Or they might build a new dining experience in Frontierland. That like a sit-down restaurant, kind of where like the Splash Mountain photos and the exit. You have the ride gift shop there. I'm trying to think of a good spot, or maybe, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much the only thing I can think of. Because I think a lot of people would just be just as happy with a Tiana restaurant as a Tiana attraction. Don't get me wrong. I think it's time for a little bit more diversity for the Disney princesses. If you think of all the Disney princess rides, you get Snow White. You've got Sleeping Beauty Castle in Disneyland, which is it has a walkthrough. Of course, Cinderella is represented with her castle in Disney World. Of course, Sleeping Beauty Castle, and as I just mentioned, Disneyland. It's not only a walkthrough; it's actually a castle. Snow White has attraction. If you look at just like the races of the main characters of a lot of these rides, and they're all pretty much white. So it's time to bring in that diversity aspect. Don't get me wrong. And as much as I love Splash Mountain and the songs, I get it. I get that there's that there's that negative connotation and negative association with the antebellum South, pre-Civil War slavery. It has to be tied in. Even though that Disney tried their best to disassociate, as much as possible. I get why they have to, um, or why they feel like they have to. Not feel like they have to. They have to. Um, Times are changing, and they want to be more inclusive for everybody. They really do. Um, and they want people to walk in their park and see themselves as this, and to see themselves represented in the parks. So I as much again as much as the music is catchy, there's always going to be that cloud over Splash Mountain, and then people are going to unfortunately um, hound Disney until they do something. Um, yeah, it's kind of like honestly, I'm for me like yes, it's tough. It's tough, and this is I wasn't wanting to talk about this morning. Um, so I'm struggling to kind of find the words because music and the story it's a yes it's again it's a fun story, it's a fun ride, the music's catchy, but at the same time again you have that connotation, there's that guilt no matter how much you like a ride and how much you like the thrill of it. um, and there are people complaining, oh, it doesn't fit in Frontierland. I'm going to say this again, I've said this before on multiple different platforms. Splash Mountain is set in the south. That area of Frontierland is the American Midwest and West. Splash Mountain never fit in Frontierland, but yet they made it. They twisted the theming just a little bit so that it could fit in Frontierland. Um, Splash Mountain right now is set maybe like Mississippi, Alabama, that area. Princess and the Frog is Louisiana. You're actually moving farther west. Um, it's going to change the look of Frontierland, definitely, and it's going to clash with like the way that the concept art is right now. It's going to clash with um, Thunder Mountain, but I mean, I think Tiana does deserve a ride. Um, the thing that I don't like about this is not that she's getting it right. Definitely not. It's that Splash Mountain has a height requirement. It does, and it's going to still be the same track layout. They're not going to change that final drop, uh, like and completely tear down the ride. It's just going to be a new overlay. So for the little princes and princesses that want to ride the ride, they're not tall enough. I don't think it's the appropriate target audience. Like you're leaving the a big chunk of kids that probably like let's go on that, and you're gonna get there's gonna be a lot of disappointed kids. I think a boat ride is perfect for Princess and the Frog. I mean, it's set in the bayous. You're traveling through the bayous of Louisiana. That's awesome. New Orleans is a coastal town. Like it makes sense that this ride would be a boat ride. She definitely needs a ride in the Magic Kingdom. She belongs in the Magic Kingdom. You can make her fit in Frontierland too. I think people are just worried about the theming and not just the message that the unintentional message that it's sending. Because I think the crew that the people that wanted to stay, like, oh, it doesn't fit in Frontierland, it should belong here, blah 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 blah. but it's not being received that way for the people that want to see this ride. They can make honestly, they can make the theming fit. Concept art never, as I said at the top of the show, concept art never comes 100% true. Never. Just look at again Entry Plaza with Epcot. You've got the flags that were supposed to be on top of the locker room building and the restroom. Those buildings, they were moved into the planners. The festival center was a part of the concept art of Epcot. That's going to look different. So concept art, it's a concept, and concepts change. My guess is that they'll try to make it maybe a little bit more fitting, but I don't think it'll look too much out of place. Although I think to make it fit a little bit more, they might want to consider re-theming Big Thunder Mountain. And just kind of adding more, maybe like more pine trees and trees, make it themed more Pacific Northwest. Because right now it's just it's more of a southwestern type ride with the canyons. With the southwestern west, make it more northwestern, Pacific Northwest theme, Big Thunder Mountain. There's mountains Pacific Northwest. You can put trees in there, and so that the area kind of blends in a little bit more. That would be cool to see, and just a region that's not really kind of explored all too much in at least the Magic Kingdom parks across the country. All right. Back on track. I started talking about beignets and going back to Disneyland, but the whole point of this is it's actually kind of on topic. Why hasn't Port Orleans reopened? And you could just say it's capacity, and they're picking resorts that are closest to the Magic Kingdom first. I believe Wilderness Lodges, did that get a reopening date? I think the 3 resorts that still have not gotten reopening dates are the Animal Kingdom Lodge, Jambo House, non-DVC Jambo House. The DVC rooms at Jambo House are open. What else? And I believe it's the All-Star Resorts, as well as the Port Orleans. If there's, correct me if I left something out, or maybe Jambo House did get an opening date, and I just forgot about it. But you could argue that, okay, Port Orleans, it's a little bit farther from the rest of the parks, definitely far from Animal Kingdom. Definitely, like its connection is to Disney Springs. Okay, I get that, but you also have Saratoga and Key West are like their next door neighbors, Old Key West. So you got that. With the value resorts, you've got movies is opening up soon for All-Star. But sports and music, they'll remain closed. I get it, capacity. They're not ready yet to open those up. And again, though that's closest to Animal Kingdom, Blizzard Beach. So, and there are 2 other value resorts, their value suites or their value plus, with the Art of Animation and Pop Century. They have the Skyliner, so they don't need to run as much bus transportation to those resorts as they would have to with All-Star. All-Star is all bus, no matter what. And again, Animal Kingdom Lodge, it's farther west. It's west of the Animal Kingdom, so it's the farthest to every park except for Animal Kingdom. Again, buses. But again, you have the DVC section there. So again, if you open up the non-DVC, you need more bus capacity to go to that. So some of them I get. But the fact that with Port Orleans, you have two sections. You have the French Quarter section and the Riverside section. Riverside now Port Orleans Resort. Now they've been always operated management style as one resort, even though you have they're two separate themes. It's one resort. It's the same management structure that they have at the Boardwalk, not Boardwalk, excuse me, Yon Beach Club. Yon Beach Club, even though they're two separate resorts, they're two separate bookings. There's one manager for that two resorts, so it's kind of a little bit shared. They have their own restaurants, they have their own things, but they share a pool. And I have the Resort TV channel is for both, I believe, as well. And I believe some of the resort activities are shared as well. But the way that they manage that resort, those two resorts, they operate as one. They're under one umbrella management. If you didn't know that. That being said, again, the Port Orleans Resort has always operated as one, but they had two separate names for it. Dixie Landings, which was more plant. It was operated like the original theming was plantations. Like you're staying on pre-Civil War antebellum plantations. And Disney quickly realized, do guests really want to stay on a pre-Civil War plantation? Especially certain guests will probably be like tone deaf. So they change it to they change the theming a little bit. So they changed the name of Dixie Landings to Port Orleans Resort Riverside. And you still get Southern style homes, but it kind of lost the whole pre-Civil War South plantation style living. Yeah. So my guess, and then again, French Quarter, it's still that 19th century feel. Like it's like 19th century New Orleans, and then you have 19th century South for Riverside. 19th century North for Port Orleans, French Quarter. And I think they're trying to address that in a more respectful way. And I think they're keeping it closed purposely because that's the only modern resort that's right now not open. Or the only modern resorts that are not open. And my guess, I really, really, really had to think it's that they don't want to open because it has, again, it's even with those past connotations, they try to distance themselves away, but it's still, the buildings are still designed like they're Southern plantation style mansions. Could there be a retheme? Very much so. I think they're trying to, honestly, I think they're trying to figure out how to incorporate it, make it one resort, because it's two separate areas for just fully really make it one resort with one check-in area, possibly, and try to blend the two together, make it more cohesive, more culturally responsive, and incorporate Princess and the Frog there as well. It wouldn't surprise me if boat rides turn into Tiana's Place. That's where you get Tiana's restaurant in Disney World. And try to deal with that capacity because there's going to be a lot of people that would want to just stay at the resort for that restaurant. I know that was supposed to be at Reflections. But there's an opportunity right there. Again, to incorporate the Princess and the Frog. and really make it more about that. And I just don't know. I think Port Orleans is probably going to be the one to open last. That they need all the hotel capacity back. All the hotels are booked up. They still want people to know. They'll open that up, and they'll call those cast members back or hire new cast members, probably more so than bring cast members back because of the agreements that they have. Yeah, as I'm really thinking about it, I think that's my guess is that they're trying to be culture responsive or more culturally sensitive, and trying to figure out a way to theme this more appropriately to Princess and the Frog, because Disney announced when they showed off the Moana rooms, yeah, they're not done putting Disney characters in all their hotel properties. That's what they're probably doing right now with Port Orleans, is trying to say, oh no, it's Princess and the Frog themed, and try to even distance itself further from that slavery plantation style theming, at least on the Riverside side, where French Quarter maybe update it, make it more modern setting rather than kind of the old 19th century setting that they have. I might see Princess of the Frog on the northern end, maybe Haunted Mansion on the southern end. You never know. So, but I definitely agree. I definitely see Princess and the Frog coming more. If you look at even the Christmas pin for Port Orleans Resort, it had Tiana in her Princess and the Frog dress. So that's just my 2 cents of why I think Port Orleans is not opening anytime soon. It's gonna go through a refresh and a retheme to Princess and the Frog and distance itself. All right, I've been talking for an hour. I'm running out of tea, and my throat is starting to be a little bit sore. I'm glad you all could join me this morning. I know I kind of rambled at the end, but you know what? I went off the monorails there. I'm still trying to think of what I'm going to title my Saturday morning streams. I don't know if I'm going to just go off the monorail mornings or just monorail mornings, but then I'm in Illinois, or just mornings with Matt. Ooh, mornings with not that Matterhorn Matt. Let me know how that sounds. On that note, thank you all for watching. Again, comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff below there somewhere. Yeah. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in infinity and beyond. This is always the most awkward part of any live stream when I'm using this program, because I say my sign off, and I'm talking, I'm like, I should always be doing this as I'm saying goodbye, but I never do because I'm focused on you guys. All right, thank you guys for watching. See you later.